Okay, let's go from simple to advanced grammar again. Today we'll be concentrating on something called post-modification of nouns. Now, anytime I say post-modification, of course, modifying means changing. Post-modification means when we have information about a noun after that noun. For example, a man who is very tall. Who is very tall is extra information that comes after the man, and the man is a noun. So we call this post-modification. So it's after the noun that we modify it or we give it extra information. If it were to be pre-modification, it would be something like this, a tall man. So that tall comes before the man, so the noun. So we're dealing with post-modification here. Now, anytime we post-modify a noun, we probably do it with who, that, or which, and then some things that follow. So we're working on that right now. Now let's look at the first sentence or the simple structure. I run into technical problems that are too complicated for me to handle. So basically I have a normal sentence. I run into technical problems, which ends with a noun. Anytime there's a noun in your sentence, it could be as the subject in the beginning or it could be at the end. And of course, it's better that you use the one at the end for this grammar, but you can use this post-modification. So problems is the noun that are too complicated for me to handle. This is the modifying clause, or this is extra information. It could be anything. I run into problems that are very difficult for me. I run into problems that are not easy to fix or solve. So anything that comes with that, who, or which after a noun. What is very important is that you understand the structure in here. So the structure really is the noun, which is problems, who, that, or which. In this case, we're using that. Then there's a be verb. Now, this be verb is very important. So the only way you can do this is if you have a be verb. So are, is, was, were after the that, who, or which. Other than that, this whole grammar won't work. Then we have an intensifier. Now, I suggest you use an intensifier such as to for the beginning when you're using this grammar or trying to make complex sentences. But later on, you can see that in some cases, you don't even need to use an intensifier. But when you do use an intensifier, it always works. Then we have an adjective, complicated, so adjective. And then after that, to make the sentence more natural later when it becomes more complex, there's something with to or for. Now, you can say for somebody to do something or just to do something. So a sentence could be like this. I do my daily chores that are too difficult for normal people to do. So it just works better. I know this is a lot of information, but you can't just use this complex grammar that I'm about to teach you with any sentence structure. This first sentence has to follow this pattern. If it follows this pattern, noun, who, that, which, plus be verb, and then an intensifier, adjective, and then to, then you can create or make beautiful sentences that I'm about to teach you right now. I know it's a bit more challenging than the other lessons, but pay very close attention, and I'm sure that you guys will be successful. So the new sentence would read something like this, or the new part of the sentence, problems too complicated for me to handle. Now, what happened? I'm going to show you the complete sentence. I run into technical problems too complicated for me to handle. So the only thing that I really did is I removed the that and I removed the be verb, or the are in this case. So after problems, there is no that and there is no are. I just jumped directly to the modification, or the too complicated for me to handle. It's very easy to make it complex if originally your sentence is correct. Let's look at other examples. I enjoy doing activities that are challenging for young people to do by themselves. So activities is the noun that I want to modify or talk about that are challenging. Now, I could say that are too challenging, but I'm just using a normal adjective, that are challenging for young people to do by themselves. Again, I have that for somebody to do something. To change it, it's very easy. I'm just going to remove the that and the are, and it's going to become, I enjoy doing activities challenging for young people to do by themselves. Topics that are too hard to write about should not be given to us. So here, instead of using a noun towards the end of my sentence, I'm going to use a noun towards the beginning or at the beginning of my sentence. Topics that are too hard to write about is the extra information about topics and then the rest of the sentence. So all I'm going to do to make it complex is remove the that and remove the are. Topics too hard to write about should not be given to us. Have you ever seen a teacher who is not educated enough to teach? So again, I have teacher, I have who, and I have is in this question. Now I'm going to change it by removing the who and the is, and it becomes, have you ever seen a teacher not educated enough to teach? Pretty simple if your original sentence is correct, because all you're really doing is removing the who, that, which plus the be verb, and everything else stays the same. Now, lots of things could go wrong. Let's look at some things that could go wrong. For example, a sentence like this: I saw a little boy who was very smart. So I have boy, and I have who, and I have was. So technically, I'm supposed to be able to just remove the who and the was, and the sentence will become like this: I saw a little boy very smart. It doesn't make sense. Yes, it's the same rule. Everything is the same, but it just doesn't make sense. It's not natural. Why? First of all, I have very. I don't have to, so I could use to make it a little bit better. But moreover, there's nothing after it, right? So there's no to or for. I saw a little boy who was very smart to go to school. That would be better. Or I saw a little boy who was too smart for his own good. That would be okay too, right? It just makes sense because I can remove the who and the was, and the sentence makes complete sense. Like this: I saw a little boy who was too smart for this school. Here I can remove the who and the was, and it becomes, I saw a little boy too smart for this school. So it's really what kind of information you have after that noun, right? You want to make sure that your information after the noun, of course, there should be who, that, or which plus a be verb, but that's not enough. You should try to see if you can come up with a to as an intensifier. And even more importantly, you should see if you can have a for or a to extend that piece or to make it longer so that your sentence makes sense. Because really the problem with this one is just that it's too short and it's confusing. We don't understand that there was a who and a was. I know it's a little bit more complicated than the other lessons that you've had, but if you just practice a little bit, pay attention, and do the exercises, I'm sure that you'll be successful in this grammar.